Christian, mother, wife,
Air Force veteran,
gun rights advocate.
This is Stacy on the Right. Here's your host, Stacy Washington.
Indeed it is. Stacy Washington here with you tonight. And I'm so glad to have you in hour 3 with us as we discuss the most important news and information of the day. Joining me now is Jay Young, founder and CEO of King Operating Corporation. Thank you so much, Jay, for coming on.
Well, thanks for having me on again, Stacy. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate you too. There has been a little bit of a juxtaposition, and the news media is capitalizing on it because, you know, everything's news. But this is actually important to Americans. The price of gas, the price of at the pump that you're paying, it impacts your bottom line. Some families have to budget that, right? They have to look at how much they're going to spend. They don't have a lot of money left at the end of the month. There's too much month, not enough money. And so the fact that there's turmoil in the Middle East is interesting to note that the gas prices are apparently going down. Tell us about this.
Yeah, it is, and I take it as OPEC right now because there's a lot of U.S. companies that are setting their budgets for 2024, and I don't believe OPEC, who has enough oil to, obviously, put oil on our markets or take it off or whatever the case may be. They've got like 5 million barrels a day that they can literally play with in regards to setting the price. They don't want United States companies to have high CapEx budgets, which how much money they're going to spend next year in drilling. But they don't want a lot of U.S. companies to come in and say, oh, we're going to spend, $3 billion next year. They'd much rather hear them say, we want to spend $2 billion. They don't want U.S. companies to spend money drilling for oil and gas and increase rig count, which is indicative of oil production in the future. They'd much rather keep the price down because then if we continue to drill for more oil and gas in the United States, we're kind of flooding our markets, which is taking money out of their pockets. So I can see this as a head fake, if you will. Short term, yes, we're going to flood the markets, which they have. They're going to keep prices down. I don't believe it's going to happen long term. I believe, end of the year or first quarter next year, you'll see prices, come back up while we're already, setting our budgets for 2024.
So, this is definitely chess, not checkers. You're saying that if they keep the prices high, it will force not just the oil companies, but it'll force a change in policy for the Biden administration because we're going into an election year. So if they keep them low through Christmas, lull everyone into a little bit of a stupor, then they can come out swinging with increases in the spring, and by then it will be too late to make a change on the part of the Biden administration for policy. They can make a change all they want, but the business market is what it is. They have to plan months in advance.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll see prices coming back up first quarter next year when we get all set in our budgets and everybody's kind of set for the year, and you'll see prices go back up because we're simply just not producing enough oil in the United States. The Biden administration has kept us from that. Obviously, they play with the strategic reserves, to keep that price down going into an election year. I don't believe they have necessarily a reason to keep the price down. I don't think they have a way to keep the price down. So I feel like that, you will see it. I don't believe demand's coming down. I believe demand will continue to rise for oil. We do have electric cars. We do have, a few other things that are happening with green energy. But I do see the price or the demand continuing to go up. And if we have the demand and we don't have the supply, like what I feel like they're going to keep us from it, there's only one way for prices to go, and that is to go up. So I believe OPEC will cut in the first quarter next year. We don't have the oil necessary. Our demand will continue to go up. So that's all the reason for prices to go up and down is because of, supply and demand. And the less supply we have, and they're going to cut, and then all of a sudden you'll see the prices go up, which is what they want. They want to sell their oil on the markets. That's how they make money. These OPEC countries, Iran or Iraq or whatever. They they may produce 6 to 7 million barrels a day, but their country only needs 3. So they may sell 3 to 4 or 5 million barrels a day on the open markets, which we're a huge buyer, and so is China. And you'll see the demand in China going up as well. And so when you see that and we don't have the supply, you'll see prices go up. So I just believe it's a relative head fake, if you will. We'll see prices go up next year. And, so, yes, I feel bad for the people that budget. And, next summer, I hope I'm wrong, because I do want people to get out and go see their kinfolk in different states, instead of, I hear a lot of families, instead of going to the Grand Canyon or Niagara Falls, they end up going to, somewhere close in their state because they don't have the budget to, drive a long way. So we want to see, I'd much rather see that, but with what I'm reading and what I see with what's going on, you saw the war in Israel that didn't really affect it because there wasn't much disruption. But, anytime at any place, you can see something go on and we see a disruption. If we do, we'll see prices go up.
Mm. So the prices will go up, and then there won't be much that can be done about it. So the expectation is, if you have, extra funds around this time of year because gas is a little cheaper, then maybe sock that aside because the price increase is coming.
Exactly. Yeah. And the federal government still allows investors, to receive write-offs by the end of the year. So this is an important time of year for our partners to look at oil and gas as a vehicle to save money on their taxes, because the government allows you to write off 100% of the intangible drilling costs. So they're still a partner. They're still allowing that. I don't think Biden's got his hand in that yet, but that would obviously cripple the United States, and oil prices would go through the roof if we didn't get the write-offs like we normally do. And if you saw something like that happen, obviously prices would go through the roof. But until then, like I said, our partners are looking at, write-offs by end of the year, and it's good for them because they don't pay as much in taxes. And California is a very important state right now because their taxes are so high, and they pay state income tax. They pay tax on, I think, about anything and everything there is to tax, just like New York. So you'll see a lot of independents like our company, small independents. We'll start increasing our budgets going into next year, but we're just a small, cog in the wheel when you talk about oil and gas production. With all the different huge plays right now. There's Exxon buying Pioneer for $60 billion, or there's 2 big independents left: Endeavor, Crown Rock, and there's another one out of Tyler. And these companies are huge. They're getting gobbled up by these oil and gas companies, which want to increase their footprint in the Permian. Autry Stevens has 350,000 acres, 330,000 barrels oil equivalent, and they're looking to be on the market, real soon, such as Crown Rock.
Wow. So there's a lot more to this than just a bunch of analysts saying, "Oh, Americans think the prices are too." There's a lot. This is a lot more complex. It's the energy sector. It's very complex.
It really is. I'm a fourth generation. I've been around the old business, my whole life, and seeing the up and downs. And I hear stories of my grandfather, my great grandfather, talk about, when things are great and people are lighting up cigars with $100 bills, and the next year they're broke because prices go up and down so fast. But in this area, I believe OPEC wants to keep our prices relatively low, but then again, it's good for us and it's good for the investors in the industry because we're not drilling at such high rates. And I hope I don't see it next year. I really don't. We're buyers obviously in this market and drilling wells, and we want to buy low and sell high later on. And if prices do go up, it'll be good for us and our partners. Going into the end of next year, 2025, but. in the meantime, I do believe they're going to try to keep prices relatively low. They don't want to increase our budgets because that's what rig count's down right now, and if you saw prices, because when you look at projects, Stacey, you're looking at oil and gas, the shale in the Permian Basin. Let's say that's the big play for everybody right now is the Permian, and at $60 a barrel, you may see returns of 20, 30% internal rate of return, but at $100 a barrel, that may go to 80% internal rate of return, or at 120 or 40 or whatever the case, you see returns, go up dramatically. So therefore, companies like ours or Exxon or Chevron or Endeavor, whoever, they increase their drilling budgets. We're all in the oil and gas business. We like returns. We love to drill. We love to complete wells. That's our game. And the higher the oil and gas price is, obviously the better our returns. Therefore, we're prone to bringing out those projects that didn't really make sense at maybe $50, $60 a barrel, and go, okay, well, hey, we saw this, and this is a good project. This project may cost $6 million to drill now, and 300,000 barrels of oil is what the estimated return will be over time. And if you multiply that times $70, $80 a barrel, it makes a lot more sense. So we're excited when prices go up and we get rigs and start drilling, and I believe that's what OPEC is trying to keep us from doing, because obviously that takes money away from them, because then we start becoming a major supplier. And you heard during Trump, and Trump was $30 a barrel, and we're energy independent, which is a play on words, if you will, not necessarily, but we were not needing these foreign countries as much as we did when prices were $80 to $100 a barrel, and we were drilling wells left and right. So, when you see the prices, going up, people start drilling, and then all of a sudden they'll start coming down, which, Trump, he was filling our strategic reserves at $20, $30 a barrel. And so you see what Biden's having to do with, trying to buy back and fill up those strategic reserves at $70, $80 a barrel. So, it's all about supply and demand, and it's all about economics in the oil and gas industry, and what project makes sense at what price. It is very complex, and it is a fascinating business, and I wouldn't do anything else except for the oil and gas business and seeing these projects that we have through. So it's exciting for us.
It is. But I really enjoy, because you have such a huge experiential knowledge in this area, hearing you talk about the different aspects of this. And you mentioned the strategic oil reserve. Is the Biden administration trying to refill what they used up last year when they, or I shouldn't say last year, during the midterm when they were trying to impact the election with the oil prices? Are they actually trying to refill the SPR?
That's a good question, and they have filled up some, but just a little bit. They, I believe they drained it 200 million barrels, and they put like 20 million, 30 million barrels back, and there's always a question of, are we really going to need it? And it's all political, right? They don't want to pay too much for it, but we also don't want to, keep it too low. So if we ever, get into the situation where we do need it, it needs to be there. And that would obviously, if we need it and we didn't have it, I don't know what, I know that there's been some things with Trump and some people storming the White House, and I'm sure the same thing would happen if something like that happened in the future. So, I believe they are trying to, but they're having to pay higher prices, which is obviously not good.
Mm-hmm.
For the government, for us, because we're having to borrow money. We have to borrow money to do anything in the United States, and to increase our debt is not necessarily in the best interest of the people.
No, it isn't, and it's especially hard to fathom and to hear that we bought it at 30 a barrel and then drained it out to impact the election, and now refilling it as 70 a barrel. That just feels, you feel like, punch away, right? It just feels terrible. I mean, it feels like
Right,
a gut punch.
right.
It's just terrible. So is there anything else, like if someone was sitting with you, maybe at after dinner drinks and saying, well, you told us about SPR, and we understand that this is it's a game to countries that make their money off of oil. It's serious to them. It's serious money, but at the end of the day, it's a kind of a game because they're going to make money no matter what. The question is, how much can they make, and how can they manipulate the market to increase that take? And when America has good leadership, they know their profits are minimal. It doesn't mean they can't run their country. It just means they won't have multiple tens of billions of dollars like Iran having all of that extra money. It's from oil sales, which they would not have made if the United States was producing more oil and flooding the market with what we have. So
Right.
is there anything else you would say to somebody who's thinking, wow, I just got an earful, but still?
Yeah. Well, it's, oil and gas prices are obviously they go up and down as supply and demand does. And I believe we are running, quite a few rigs right now in the United States, and our production is up, and we are exporting some oil that we have from the Permian and Bakken. And I do feel like we're in a really good place in the oil and gas industry, and these prices, as long as oil prices to drill and complete wells don't continue to go up, because inflation increases the prices too. And that's one thing that is bad. And that's one thing that I know that people are trying to watch out for right now, is they're not trying to overspend to get barrels, in the tanks. So I can see us in the future, hopefully these prices will stay here in the $65 to $85 range, because they're going to go up and down. You can't, that can't happen. So you'll see prices come up and down, and if we can keep the prices, at that level and not go crazy, because when it does go crazy, the price of drilling also, goes crazy. But I believe OPEC said it expects global demand to be around 116 million barrels per day by 2045. That's peak demand. I mean, that is, we're at 100 million barrels today. So it's going to continue to rise. Our demand is going to continue to rise in the future. So we need more supply in the United States. We need more refineries. We need for Biden to open up some of the refineries, which he can do, and increase our refinery capacity. And we need to continue to drill for oil in the United States, because that would help. Obviously, that would help prices come down. And so, going to the election year, we're going to see, that's going to be a big topic, obviously, of conversation. Where do we stand with these oil and gas companies? And that's where I can't see some of these big companies that are, these companies are buying each other for $60 billion. I mean, how Exxon's buying Pioneer, $60 billion. I mean, that's got to affect oil and gas prices. So that worries me as well, is that, these big companies coming in and buying each other and spending $50 billion on Hess and these, $30 billion for Endeavor. Those companies are going to be, I wouldn't say a conglomerate, but they're going to be, they're going to do the same thing with prices as they see fit, because they have enough acreage in the Permian to increase or decrease rig count or to sway the prices either way. So, it's going to be interesting going into 2024 if all these big acquisitions do come up with oil and gas prices. And, I would go fill up your lawnmowers today. I mean, I really would, because I think we're going to see prices down right now, but I believe that they're not going to continue to stay down here very long. So, save some money. Look at King Operating for a tax break if you need one. Go to our website, or buy stock or something. Right now, there's a lot of stocks out there that are cheaper that you can buy. I mean, I think it's like Ring Energy, the $1.40 or $1.50 or something a barrel. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, they make $200-300 million a year, and their company's almost worth that. So you're seeing a lot of demand It's going to continue to go up. We're going to need the oil and gas industry for a long period of time. And right now is a good time to invest somehow in oil and gas. I wrote the book, The Upside of Oil and Gas Investing, which you can get on. I did the audio book. I've done wrote the book, and you can buy it on Apple or wherever you get it, and just listen to what I have to say about the industry. And it's like I said, it's a fascinating industry. I grew up in it. I remember my great grandfather. He was around till I was like 9, so I hung out with him. He had 12 kids. 12 kids, and if you're a man, you're in the oil business, and if you're a woman, you're married to somebody in the oil business. So it was a great time, and I helped my grandfather pump wells in his last 10 years of his life, and being out there and just the flair of the J.R. Ewings or the Jay Clampetts or oil coming out of the ground. It's just a extraordinary business, and I look forward to it for many years.
I love that. I love it when you say J.R. Ewing. Boy, those were some years, I should say a decade in television that I don't think many will forget. For the young ones, if you're Gen Z, you can always go stream Dallas and Knots Landing, which was the offshoot of that with the Ewing family. They were an oil family. You're talking about kingoperating.com. Your website says, discover the upside of oil and gas investing. And your book, listen to the upside of oil and gas investing, the audiobook. You can listen to it right from the website. You can click right there and get to it. I recommend it. Get over to kingoperating.com, find out more. A whole lot of cool information over here. Might be something that you could really kind of cut your teeth on. You know what? It's always a pleasure to have you here. I'm so appreciative of your time here in the evening. Jay Young, founder and CEO of King Operating Corporation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Stacy. I appreciate it. It's been too long. Let's catch up again soon.
All right, let's get back together again soon. Appreciate you. Have a great night. All right, we'll be back with more Stacy on the Right after this. Stay right there.